Hi, this is Shane Starr, and today's video is a follow-up on something I did earlier in the week. It was an appeal to traits-based theory, and I think that it needs some further explanation so that any viewers here can understand where I'm coming from and why I keep coming back to this. So, with reference to traits-based theory, why do I think it's better? It's really simple. It's easy within this system, maybe not outside of itself, but within itself, it is coherent to have easily accurate typings straight from empirical data, evidence, actions. And we've gone over this before. Are you a people person, or are you to yourself, introvert, extrovert? Are you more of a thinker, making decisions with your mind, or do you make them with your heart? Do you care more about your own interest and pure truth, logic, facts, pragmatism, or do you consider other people's feelings and hopes and wishes and that side of things? There you go with thinking or feeling. Are you more comfortable in the physical world of empirical things you can see, hear, touch, feel, or are you more of an ideas person? This can be in terms of time, as in past and future, or just in terms of potential realities, things that may be or could be, as opposed to what they actually are. This would extend to symbolism as well as the connection of things. There you go with either being sensing or intuitive. Last but not least, you can either be judging or perceiving, and we've gone over this before too. It's a simple matter of structure versus unstructured. Do you like schedules, lists, frames of what to do and how to act, or are you more a free-for-all person? Don't like schedules, anything goes kind of thing. Are you more neat or messy? Do you like more structure in your life, or do you like more freedom? And what's the upshot? What's the benefit of having these simple, elementary, easy to understand categories? Clear typing equals clear, actionable items for self-improvement. That's why. If you're too heavy on thinking, you can easily give advice either to yourself or to others. You need to open up, share more, listen, think of others, make friends, consider other people, where they're coming from. Be more open-minded. Are you too much on the feeling side? You need to use more common sense. Don't let your feelings, wishes, desires, or hopes interfere with the facts. Don't be stupid. Too much intuition? Focus on being present in the moment. Think of the realities of life, things that need to be maintained, cleaned, kept, fixed. Think of bills, work, budget, schedules, procedures. Focus on those things. Make it a priority to work on those things. That'll bring you back to earth a little bit. Are you too much in the sensing world? You need to maybe step off the instant gratification train and think strategically. Use your past mistakes and past experiences to plan and actually execute a better future for yourself. Okay, so those are easy, actionable items. If you're too heavy on J, which according to my own traits-based theory, this is probably where I need the most help personally. My advice to myself would be to loosen up. I'm the only guy in my whole company, I think, who wears a tie anymore, and I can't seem to shake it. I didn't wear a tie one day and I felt naked and weird, and I just put it back on. I have to learn to loosen up, not just physically, but maybe mentally too. I need to learn more patience, acceptance. My way isn't always maybe the best way. Maybe things aren't all about the numbers and the data and the facts. Maybe there are other realities just as important that I'm not giving enough precedence to in my own way of thinking, and I'm suffering for it. Maybe I need to get out of my own self more and be more in tune with nature. Try experiencing life without a watch or a clock. On the other hand, this one's easy for me to see in others. Too heavy on P. Get your what together. Learn how to make your bed. It's a funny video. I was going to make a whole video on this. A comment from Rusted Typology about advice to make your bed is stupid. I respectfully disagree. It's task completion. When you make your bed, you've done one good thing. And once you've done one good thing, it's easy to lock in to do another good thing, and so on and so forth. If you're too heavy on P, make your bed. Start making a priority to be on time. Use lists if you have to, schedules. Actually start marking things off. Hey, I need to get out and clean the garage. I've been planning it for years, never happens. Let's start now. Let's break it down into actionable items, little baby steps maybe. Let's get it going. See, these are things that you can use in typology to actually lead to self-improvement. Now, you don't even need typology for this, but if you're interested in typology and kind of want to use that en route to being a better version of yourself, then these are ways you can do it. All right. So given this, let's look at the alternatives. And the alternative is this: with all the deep dive theory, intricate nuances, we get mistypes because people, instead of typing themselves according to their actions, according to what's reality, what's really they're doing on a day-to-day basis, we're saying, well, where's this come from? What's your desire? What's inside, and all that stuff is wishy-washy, non-reality to me, at least, non-empirical data, and you can just take that and steer it. I mean, that's how we get so many INFJs, because if you look at typing that way, then all of us are INFJs. I could argue, I can rationalize myself as being one, or anyone else for that matter. We don't want that. We want reality. We want facts. Okay, so if this is a threat, or if this is a problem, where's an example? I'll give you one. Real life. Okay, I have a coworker tested INFJ on an MBTI test. There is zero possibility in my mind that she's an INFJ. I would type her strongly. I'm as confident on this typing as I am of anyone, including myself. She is definitely an ESFP, guaranteed. Okay, at least according to my own rules and way of thinking and going about it, she's an ESFP. So, like most people, she doesn't care enough about the theory to use it for anything in terms of self-growth or self-actualization, so it probably doesn't matter anyway. But what if we were to use something that I've talked about before? The way to self-improvement isn't to focus on what you're best at. It's not to focus on what you're trash at, but to focus on your tertiary and inferior functions. That's your mobilizing function and your suggestive function in socionics, and your demonic or eighth function in MBTI, which is your role function in socionics. So if my coworker, is allowed to stick with her mistyping because of all the nuances and the weird questions that the test was throwing at her, instead of just basic, are you A or B? Are you A or B? Are you A or B? There's your letters. Let's go from there. You're going to see how this messes up. So according to, again, my own theory, the way I see things, as an ESFP, she would get the most cash value in looking to improve her TE, which comes third in her stack, her NI, which comes fourth in her stack, and her NE, which comes eighth in her stack. Okay, she could really use some help TE. I know this because I work with the person. I know what she's good at. I know what she could use some help on. TE things, scheduling things, planning things, not dropping the ball on things, task management in terms of prioritizing important and urgent things first, followed by the important things, followed by the urgent things, followed last by the things that can be delegated or put off till later, let's say. And if she were to focus on these things, she would be fine. But as an INFJ, that would be her polar function. There's no hope for her there. So you just wouldn't even try, because it's a lost cause. If that was the case, she shouldn't even be in our industry, because so much of it is heavy TE. You can't survive if you're polar TE. At best, you would have to fake it through other functions. You just wouldn't be utilizing your gifts to their best ability. It would be like, say, Pat Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, MVP quarterback, being a basketball player. He might be good enough to be okay, but he's never going to be the superstar he is in football, because he's not in the right arena in that reality. So the TE's just like a non-starter here, because she's focused on, for INFJ, she would be focused on her third slot TI, which is actually her polar function. So she's focused on trying to improve something that there's virtually no hope for. And I can totally see that. When we're trying to figure out how things work, like key configuration and stuff, you can explain it 3 different ways, and she'll still have difficulty getting it. And it's not because of IQ, it's just that's her polar function. It just doesn't seem to click. And to use that as the main function you're trying to improve, it's basically a waste of your time. It's like telling a T-Rex to get its punching power with those little tiny arms up or something. It's like, no, you're better off going somewhere else for improvement. Fourth slot, SE. Okay, that would be another thing. As an INFJ, she could do some work on, start working out a little bit, pay attention to your clothing, pay attention to some fashion a little bit, try to do things in the moment. These are all things she's great at without any help or any practice at all. It's a waste of her time to do that. So if she's mistyping as an INFJ here, she's focused on the thing that's so bad that she has no hope in. And then she's focused on another thing that she doesn't need help in. It's like a BMX champion racer taking a bike with training wheels on it to help him balance. It's like he doesn't need that. It's holding him back. To work on SE for her, not only is it a waste of time, it relegates something and puts controls on it that are going to impede her at her best instead of help her. Okay, and then last but not least, 8th slot NE. She could really use this too, because it would open up her mind to different strategies to self-improvement. She's kind of locked in, like trying the same thing all the time. It's like they say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing all the time, hoping for different results. And I'm afraid that's where we're at in terms of work efficiency and productivity. If she had a little bit more NE, she could see like, hey, maybe I can think outside the box and do something different this way or that way. And like, wow, this idea worked. But no, as an INFJ, she would be focusing for role function on SI. Maybe that's her ignoring function. She's more on the go than SI, but she definitely knows how to relax. She knows how to go with the flow. She knows how to make life comfortable for herself and for others. She doesn't need help in SI. She needs help in NE. So because of this mistyping, if I were to try to utilize my system with her and try to make things work, and it would utterly fail, and she would just think typology's worthless, because the things I'm trying to help her with, she's either already good at or she'll never be good at, instead of focusing on those target functions that maybe we can get some improvement. Now another, typing with famous people, Eric's, doesn't think we can improve our functions at all, and to do so is like trying to play tennis in a pool. For all I know, he's right. You know, I don't know. I know enough to know that that guy's smarter than me, so maybe he's right and I'm wrong, but I'm still holding firm that I think we can improve our functions, at least some of them. Now, on the other hand, if typology can't help, then none of this matters anyway, right? But if it does matter, if typology can help, then it does matter. And if it matters, then everything depends on getting your type right. And getting your type right depends on the system you're using and how easy it is to type yourself correctly, not with esoteric jargon, but easily understood concepts that can be readily applied to one's life. So I'm going to close this video by saying, if you're struggling in typology like most of us have, including myself, go back to the very basics, the very, very, very basics. Am I an I or an E? Am I a T or an F? Am I an S or an N? Am I a P or a J? And work up from there. Okay? That's all I got for today. Peace out.